Howdy, howdy, and welcome to My Bloody Judy with your final forgets, myself, Zachary Patton Garcia.
And Ian Carlos Crawford. And today our opening kill is...
Joseph Shepard!
Joseph Shepard. But so, okay, y'all, we don't know each other. Me and Ian know each other. We do not know Joseph. The first time we're talking to Joseph. So let's get to know each other a little bit. What are your favorite horror movies then? Because I'm trying to figure you out. I'm trying to figure out where you like sit. I want a couple older ones. I want a couple, I don't know, like 2000s ones, and I want a couple of recent ones that you've really enjoyed.
Well, let's first go to why I even started with horror movies. Okay. I was about 12 or 13 years old, and I was in a Blockbuster, and I was like, I am going to rent a horror movie. Why not? And I started with Nightmare on Elm Street. Mm-hmm. And then I got into Freddy's, I got into Jason, and then I was like, literally the only reason that I was watching them though was because I wanted to see dick. And because there was always girls with boobs and you would always see asses. And I was like, you know what? I bet one of these, there's going to be like a guy and he's going to be nude or this and that. And that's what I got them for. But that kind of like formed my love of horror.
Yeah.
If we are talking... Oh, see, like when you put me on the spot, that's harder.
I found you through your Scream music video. That's the first time I ever saw anything about you, and that was.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Scream had to have been a big one for you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Scream was a big part of my childhood. I loved it. That was like the first R-rated movie that my dad let me get from Blockbuster, and it was just. I thought that it was just very ahead of its time. It was just such a different, like you got your classic slasher and all of that in there, but at the same time, there was a good story. Yeah. And that first Scream, I just thought kind of like took it away. It kind of brought like the low class horror movies to a different level. So being able to recreate that and try to find a house that looked very similar and then adding like some camp to it, like that was a dream come true because it's always wanted to be killed in a horror movie, and to have that happen, I took it.
Perfect. So then jumping from Scream, I don't know, where do you go into horror movies? Do you try to like, I don't know, do you stick with a genre? Do you stick with the slasher?
I think slashers predominantly have always been something that I have absolutely loved. I mean, of course, is Chucky considered a slasher?
Of course, yes.
A baby slasher?
A baby slasher. A little man slasher.
Yeah, little man slasher.
Yeah. What about 2000s horror movies like the remakes, the House of Wax and
House of Wax? Oh, see, I'm glad that you have these names. No, House of Wax with Paris Hilton was a moment. That was a moment. The only moment I remember from that movie was I believe she was running on a grate and she got a knife or something stabbed in her foot. For some reason, that always stayed with me. I liked the Final Destinations. I believe it was the first one or two. After that, they started getting too crazy. And I know that now they're rebooting and they're supposed to give it a new kind of like essence. So I'm excited to see what that turns into. The OG...
When a Stranger Calls.
Stranger Calls?
Yes, OG When a Stranger Calls. I also loved old school Dial M for Murder, like anything like that. Those were always good.
When we were all talking in the DMs a little bit ago, we were kind of going back and forth on what we would have you come on for, and we wanted you on for something, and you were immediately into the B movies.
It's a small pond of people. It's just so I don't know what it is. It's kind of like I feel like we've gone into this renaissance of movies that have now come on streaming services. And I feel like movies are getting like incoherently worse. Like I used to love going to see movies at the theaters, but then now I feel like the quality and everything, because there's such an oversaturation of content, has kind of like made a lot of the mainstream movies not as great. So finding a good B movie is like, to me is one, you're giving props to whoever made it and you're giving them their credit where the credit's due. But then two, it's just so interesting to watch because if it's bad, you fucking have a good time no matter what. Like, it's not probably going to be good. So
Or you're gonna have the good bad, and you're gonna have the bad bad. It's something. If it's we always talk about this on here. If it's forgettable, it's just like that's the mark of death, right? But if it's so bad that you will remember it, and you might even recommend it to somebody else, that's always where it kind of hits for me. Ian, so Terrifier 2, I guess we can. It's a B movie, but it also is very, very much torture porn. And that's where it's turning a lot of people off. And Ian, I know you were not a fan of the torture porn subgenre.
I'm already dreading the comments on this one. Okay. I think torture porn is like the most boring fucking dumb shit. I think there's no tension. I'm just like, all right, this person's brain's gonna get scooped out. Just get to the point. And I feel very like, all right, well, I know everyone's dying, so what are the stakes if it's just everyone's being murdered and ripped apart? And I feel like they remind me like they're written by like a 15-year-old. Especially this movie. This movie felt like a good version of that. And it feels like, ooh, we got some themes, but we don't know what they are, so they're just all over the place. And it's not enjoyable to watch.
So what about the mainstream ones then? Because Saw's definitely like a torture porn franchise, but I know you like the Saw movies, so like what makes
those do have a storyline, and there's a twist. There's always like a big and I will say I only like the first 3. I don't like the rest of them. But like the first 3 do actually have like, there's a storyline. And I don't know. And even like Saw movies, it's like, yeah, someone's getting like killed grossly, but I don't mind a killed grossly. It's like, there's no like, oop, their arms are ripped off. Oop, now we're pouring bleach on them. Oop, they're still alive. Oop, now we're eating them. Oop, now we're cutting their head off.
That sounds like a movie we're covering today.
It does, doesn't
it? Sounds a little specific.
Wait, so I want to know though, like you just said that you do not enjoy that, but do you enjoy when horror movies go into the supernatural realm? Because I got so pissed off at the second redo of Halloween just for the fact of, I was like, why is Michael Myers now all of a sudden like all fucking godly and he's gaining all these powers from somebody, when you're taking something that's supposed to be like as realistic as possible and then adding in a supernatural element into it? I'm like, fuck, that ruins the experience for me.
Which one are we talking about there?
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of movies.
Halloween. Well, I was talking about Kills.
Okay, yes.
The middle one of the new trilogy.
Ian fucking hates.
Oh, I fucking hate that movie. I will say that I do understand. Like that doesn't bother me as much, but I actually do fully understand why that would bother someone, because it's like either it should be supernatural or it's not, and I don't like the wavering back and forth. So I do see, like, for me, I'm like, yeah, I fully understand why that would.
Well, that series, like we've talked about that too, right? That series feels like it's just not committing to anything. Like with the idea that it came back in 2018 was that to make him a human again, right? Like we hear Jamie Lee Curtis talking about like he's a human just a man in a mask again, and that's the whole point of him. Well, then in the second one, like you were talking about, they're talking 50 fucking monologues talking about him transcending and all of that. They are like making him this godly figure, this being of evil, supernatural evil. And then this one, did you watch Halloween Ends?
Yeah, and now he's living in a fucking sewer. I'm like, okay, great.
They just bring it back down, and she at the end again says, he's just a man in a mask. And so I much prefer a project commit to what they're trying to do, right? So like at least with this one, I really enjoyed that we open with this one, and because at the end of the last one, he blows his brains out, right? And so at the beginning of this one, we don't really even get an explanation on why he's back. We just get like I don't know,
we get that little child falling from the ceiling.
Just whatever the hell is happening, right? Yeah. And it's just, he's just back. And then he's putting his parts back together and all of that. And it just feels like they committed to it, right? They committed to the weird here. They committed to just the all over the place kind of supernatural element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you fall with supernatural then? So like, did the supernatural work here then?
I despise, well, are you saying, did the supernatural work in what?
Anything. Where does it work for you, and where does it not work?
Never
works for you. So here it doesn't.
But you like this movie though, right?
Yeah, it can work. It can work if I already know that something is going to be supernatural.
That's fair.
If you are putting me on this whole spree, and this person's killing somebody, and then for the first 3/4 of the movie I believe that it's as realistic as possible, and then all of a sudden it changes over. Like, no, like that's kind of how I felt a little bit with the Barbarian. Like,
did you not like Barbarian? Oh, you're a psycho.
I didn't. I did not. I thought that it was just throwing everything at the gambit, and it was like, let's try this, let's try that, and the unrealistic aspect of like Miss Crazy Lady jumping off the platform and then still living and like all that stuff. Like, I was just like, no, I'm gone now. No.
But see, I actually do understand, because in our recording, I fucking love that movie, but I do see, like, for me, it does have a change in it halfway through, and I do understand why that wouldn't work for someone. So I have a couple friends who like really love horror like you, and they liked the first part of it and then didn't like the rest.
Yes.
And like for me, I understand, like, because right, Zach, I do think we talked about that, how like we can understand, like, I could see where it wouldn't work for someone. It just did for me, but I can understand where that, like, you'd be a little like,
It was a hit or miss movie. Like, a lot of people either, I don't feel like there was a lot of people in the middle about it.
I think that the mainstream issue is that they're just trying to tap into formulas that have worked in the past. And we've gotten to a point where we've seen literally almost everything horror-wise happen. Like, I wasn't that big of a fan of like X, like, or Pearl. Like, I kind of thought that those were just in a realm of not necessarily there. Like, the doll movies now, like Annabelle and all of those, I'm like, okay, what are we doing? Like, who are these made for? Are they enjoyable? Yeah, sure, they can be enjoyable, but they're not what I consider like a horror movie that 30 years from now people are still going to be talking about.
That's fair.
I mean, see, and I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying, but I'm like, but also you like Terrifier, so I don't understand.
Because the Terrifier, I will say this, Terrifier was different in that, yes, there is torture porn, different types of things, but they have not been to the level of that. It's just a different mindset. Like, it's kind of something that has not been done in a very long time. And if it has been done, it hasn't been done fully correctly. So to be able to see such gory kills and to be able to see things that are torture porn, it's just nice for a fact of like, because I do get sick of watching horror movies sometimes and somebody gets banged in the head and then they're on the ground and they're dead. And it's like, no, I kind of want to see, I want the blood and I want the guts sometimes.
You want all of it.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get into all of it. So Terrifier 2, just, when was the official release date? It was only a couple weeks ago, right? This was October,
I don't think it was that long
October
ago.
6th is when it came out officially. And it was supposed to be like a quick theatrical run, I think like one weekend, maybe two. And then it was supposed to go to streaming. So we were waiting for streaming so that we could. Ian was not going to go. That was our deal here, is that we would watch this one, but I had to watch it with Ian. And we don't live in the same state. I'm in Texas. Ian's in New Jersey. And Ian was not going to go to the theater. You were not going to go to the theater to see this one. Okay. So I had to watch it. And we had to wait. And it still is not on streaming because it is doing so damn well theatrically right now, right? I mean, it's not like a runaway hit. It's not, making like $70 million, but like it was $250,000 budget. It went on Indiegogo and like crowdfunded this movie, right? That it was a crowdfunded movie, and it's just week after week, it's extending its theatrical release, and I think it's like going to be in 1,000 theaters this weekend. That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's doing better than the trajectory of Bros. So I look at that and I say that's a little $25 million and you're only at 10 right now. Back.
There you go.
Ooh.
This is also, well, I will say though, this is a movie that definitely benefits from its word of mouth, right? Like the exorcist of it all, that people are fainting and stuff like that. People are like rushing to see this. When I went to see it, I could not find a damn soul to go with me. My husband would not go with me to see this movie.
Allison wouldn't go?
Oh, he does not like the torture porn of it. No, there's people just don't like. Some people don't like that. But the sort of like heightened headline that people are passing out, and the one picture that's been bouncing around, right? It's just one picture of somebody just like sitting against a seat, and they have their like head, like, I don't know, cropped out or something. That did a lot for this movie, I feel like, and it's the marketing that they could have really just hoped for, I went into it and my theater was fairly packed, and it wasn't packed. It was like me and 5 other people, but like there was a group of boys behind me. And after the movie, I realized that they were like not old enough to be in there, but they were like excited to go see the movie. And you know, the entire time I could hear them like squealing behind me every time, you know, somebody was getting their skull ripped open and all of that. It's just one of those fun sort of like phenomenon movies. Do you remember when Paranormal Activity like first was making its rounds, and then it got so much hype that they were like, go online and like tell everybody you want it to come to your theater. I feel like it's like that, and it's cool to see those come along.
It definitely, and like I did say this to you when we were watching it, I was surprised with, especially for a crowdfunded movie, like it looks like it had a bigger budget than it did.
Yeah.
And
that's the nicest thing that Ian will say about this movie.
Well, we went on about that a good bit too. I think you were pointing out that they like it does look very expensive because they have all of these sets, all of these different people. They got freaking Felissa Rose in this, which I'm like, you know, I wish this should have been a little bit longer, but like, you know, well, and like, from Sleepaway Camp. That's
when she's in the costume shop. I was like, Zach, this looks exactly like the costume shop I used to walk around in when I lived in New York. And I was like, it has a really spooky basement, and then she's coming up from the basement, and I was like, wait, I think that is the Halloween shop from New York. And then it was, and they name dropped Abracadabra. And I was like, oh, it is the fucking Halloween shop. And like we were saying, like, because it wasn't that expensive, he probably knew a lot of people and had to like
call I have to imagine there are a lot of like favors called in for a movie like this.
There had to be, because doing that Scream themed music video and having a crew and everything, and I paid for that out of pocket, I was like, what?
It's wild.
I was like,
you think
a lot
about
of favors,
and it's. We were talking to Michael Schwartz the other day about, he has a short film on Hulu called Snatched, and it's like a 10-minute short film, and they still had to have like a crew of 80 people on that damn movie, right? Like just a small little production like this. I couldn't imagine. So I wonder with a movie like this, how much of it was like run and gun guerrilla style filmmaking.
The first Terrifier had a special place in my boyfriend and I's relationship, because it was like the 4th date, and I went over to his place, and I was like trying to find something on Netflix, and I was like, oh, it's a clown. And I clicked it. And
is he big on horror?
No.
Oh God.
No.
Really?
So he had an experience with that. And then when I heard that there was a second one coming out, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to see it. So I got my tickets for like opening night, and it was at some theater. And then I decided not to go to the theater closest to me because I don't enjoy their seats. So we had to drive like 25, 30 minutes out. Totally fine for me, but not for him, because we both did edibles before. And then he ended up freaking out in the movie about midway through, and then at the end, so he had this whole like experience, and he like hates me for it, but I'm like, well, too bad. So that's how I got in there, and that's how we saw it, and I enjoyed it. And he really loved how bad the mom was, and I did too. And she made me laugh quite a bit, because it was like an accentuated bad version of a weird character. I have no idea what the mom's goal was. I don't know if she ever had
She's tired of them damn kids. That's what that's her goal. Her entire motivation. She's over the damn kids. That's all that's the only note she got for the entire movie.
Yeah, I think that was the only note she got.
The first one I feel like was a lot shorter than this, by the way. This is like almost 2.5 hours. I could not believe it. I almost
this is what I was wondering too, is because it was 2.5 hours, but then I learned that it was the unedited version. So I'm like, well, where's the edited version?
Was this an unedited version? Why is the unedited version in a theater?
I don't know. It basically, I read about it, and it was like, this is the unedited version, and there's going to be an edited version on the Screambox streaming. So this was just supposed to be like the exclusive unedited version. So I don't know.
Oh, weird.
That's crazy, huh? I wonder how much shorter that is, because 2.5 hours.
They could have cut the first 20 minutes out.
They could have every little salt rub, every little like arm just rip off. Like that scene had so many like extra cuts that seemed like it was just put in there to like fuck with the MPAA.
Most horror movies I don't feel like need to be that long. Like even like ones I love, like I'm like, all right, we can cut some of this out. Yeah, and like 2 hours is a long time.
How long is The Exorcist?
Movie? I think The Exorcist is almost 2 hours.
Is it like 2.5 hours, or is it 3? It's around there, but this is like 2 hours and 12 minutes. This is longer than The Exorcist by a few minutes. It's still longer than The Exorcist. It's wild, man. It's wild. I do want to say though, I really enjoyed. I thought it was pretty fucking scary. Like
I did too.
The gore, all of that. I'm not a big fan of that either. I think sometimes it's just much for me. I think to include maybe one scene for it really would have been effective enough for me. It's there. People can enjoy it. The people who love that sort of thing. But what really got me was his whole like. Just the creep factor of art, right? Like I'm not somebody who's scared of clowns. I don't give a shit about clowns. They don't do anything for me. This guy was so fucking scary. And I like got out of the theater at like 1 a.m. Like had to walk to my car by myself.
Zach was like texting me scared. Normally it's me that's scared. So I was like, do you want me to call you?
I
And he was
don't
like,
get
no.
scared over things like this, but it was the true crime of it all. This felt so true crime in a way that just like, I don't know, the moments where she would go downstairs and the glass would be like, you know, to her back door would be busted in. You know, it's like, it was scary. And I was a little bit scared. I thought you would be a little bit more scared, Ian.
I'm telling you, the torture porn aspect takes me completely out where I'm like, all right, you're going to dismember this person.
Should have showed you the edited version. I didn't know it was there. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
we could have tried to find that. I will say that I think that one of my favorite, just visually and how it was done, and that was creepy in its own way, was that whole kids television show thing, like the art serial and everything. Something about that, I was like, this is shot so well. I have no idea why we're here right now, but yeah, that was, I thought, pretty well done.
And I like a trippy, like that felt very Nightmare on Elm Street to me, and I liked that. That made me think like, oh cool, we're gonna get like wacky visuals, a lot of wacky like weird shit where you don't know what's going on, but then we didn't get more. And I kind of was like, oh, all right, like until she like goes to hell at the end, it's like pretty straightforward of like him just murdering people. And I think I was like, oh, maybe I won't dislike this movie because we're gonna get a bunch of like weird dream sequences and like cool visuals, and then we did not. But like, yeah, I kind of like that scene. And I always like a weird, I mean, like Zach and I talk about Buffy a lot. We're both Buffy gays. And like, I always liked when Buffy could lean into dreams, and I like anything that can like lean into like, you kind of don't know what's real and what's going on. And I do like that, like to a point, I like David Lynch, right? And like David Lynch does a lot of that. And so I'm always a fan of that. So yeah, I didn't dislike that scene. I like that scene kind of.
I was trying to figure out like how far into that they were going to go, right? Because we didn't get like anything really explained to us about Art the Clown, right? We just kind of like had to accept that he had come back to life, and that he was aware that he had come back to life, and this is maybe something that just happens for him. The dream stuff, there's clearly a connection there. Towards the end, him and like the ghost girl that I'm guessing he killed her, right? That was one of his victims that was now like in demonic form or something following him around. Is that what
the little like nugget?
Yeah, the little clown nugget. Yeah, like
part of me was wondering like, was he actually like a famous clown on a box or something? How he was on the cereal box? How there was a little TV show about him? Like, was it the clown gone bad? Like, was there some type of influence? Yeah, just kind of is.
Like, fucking come on. Like, for me, I'm like, yes, you need to write that. That needs to be there. There's not just like we're going to throw some shit at the wall and I don't know.
There's a lot of throwing shit at the wall.
And there is a lot of that in this fucking movie because some people could not see the little girl. Some people could. But then she was like an active participant in some things. And it was like, all right, so she is real or she isn't? Like... But it didn't fucking matter, and like, don't throw that in. Like, then I go back to both of your points of commit. I needed them to either be like, yes, this is what's going on, or no, that's not what's going. Like, the girl is all in everyone's head, and that's it for the girl, or she's very much like a demonic accomplice, which is fine if that's like what we're going for. But like, I needed one or the other to be true because like, I don't give a shit either way. I just need a land the plane, and it felt like a lot of the movie. I used to write comic books when I was a kid. Like I would like literally in my like, you know, drawing pads. And I would do a lot of shit where it's like, ooh, this is so deep, but I'm not going to say what it is because I want them to have to figure it out. And like, I thought I was so fucking smart, but like that shit's dumb. And like,
no, I love some shit like that. No, and I think especially with something like this, it felt very much like this was the first movie
Yes, and it wasn't the first movie.
But it could have been like the first one was like, the first 15 minutes of the first movie, right? Or something like that. It's what it felt like it could have been. It felt like he had more ideas with this one, that he was like realizing, well, I can set up a franchise. Maybe I'll do that, and maybe I'll add the questions here and sprinkle my questions here, and we will figure these out later on. You'll get the answers to these a little bit later, right? That's what this movie felt like to me. The first one felt like just kind of playing with gore and really no point to the first one, but this one felt like there was a specific point to it.
Okay, wait. Now I'm going to come for you, because that's exactly what you hate about Marvel movies.
Good.
You complain about them doing
Fuck a Marvel movie, though. I don't give a shit about a Marvel movie.
movies.
Right, and you're both wrong if you like this bullshit.
This is some good bullshit, though. Okay, this has an aroma of like something a little bit better than Marvel.
It has an aroma of bullshit, is what it has an aroma of, and like that's exactly what you get mad at Marvel movies for doing, sprinkling shit. And
I don't give a shit. I never said I wasn't a hypocrite. Okay, I'll be a hypocrite for the sake of art.
Lowercase a.
Art.
There we go. I don't know. I liked it. I liked all the questions set up. I think I needed some more things explained. Like we kind of pick up on him, and it's a 1 year anniversary, and he is Art the Clown is this like almost he's not even quite famous yet. Not everybody's heard of him, but like he's famous enough that at least the younger generation knows that this was a murder that happened, and he was this murderer, right? And that people are
like the kids are like, oh, hasn't
like the
it been
Jeffrey
a year?
Dahmer thing, right? Like people would dress like Jeffrey Dahmer this Halloween because people are talking about it, you know. But there's still, and I don't know, there was the supernatural aspect of it is where we're not getting any answers, and I think it's okay as long as we're getting answers as far as like him, the serial killer, versus like him, the supernatural being. You know, we don't have to know why he's a supernatural being just yet. We're getting enough clues. We're getting that he's like connected to hell. He's got like a hell pit and a fucking carnival.
What are the any answers they gave us?
All his.
Well, what if hypothetically speaking, these answers are in that first short he directed, and then the All Hallows Eve that was before Terrifier?
I will say, okay, so Ian, I did not even preface this with you. He's in. Is he in
I read
both
all
of
about
them,
that. Yeah, I know.
Or is
I read
he
all
in
about them.
just one of them? Because so Damien made both of them, All Hallows Eve and All Hallows Eve 2. I don't know if Art's in both of them, but he's at least in one of them. I have not seen that one. Okay, are there more answers in that?
I saw the first, but and I will say that Art was through the TV. Like he was in, like they were watching a TV program. It was like a family or a babysitter and a child watching a TV program, and that was the VHS tape that they put in. So Art clearly has some type of relevance to television, as that's what we saw in this one too. So that's kind of where I thought maybe he was like a tortured clown, and he was like, fuck y'all, my job's now gone because I'm old and whatever. I have no idea, but
there's something going on with the clown. I feel like the clown is a character that we should pay attention to. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know what they're doing with the clown. I do think that the clown is going to be like, it's one of those modern horror figures that it's going to go one of two ways. He's either going to like end up in the trash, or he's going to be something we remember in the next 20 years. They need a score. They need like a specific sort of score that goes along with him, like the Michael Myers sort of theme, right? Like they need something with him because they could elevate him to something a little bit better. But how do you make a horror icon? I guess is my question. Like, what do they need to do with him to make him a horror icon?
I think that they did it in a weird B-level underground way. I think all these people throwing up and passing out and doing whatever and putting this there. And then if you're a nobody and you go on people.com and you see, oh my gosh, this is this crazy movie, and you see what the clown looks like, you're kind of giving something like, I'm honestly thinking like, I'm glad that I did it for Halloween this year, but I'm like, next year, I feel like there's going to be buttload more of Art the Clowns out. Like, I feel like it's probably going to be this train that slowly keeps revving up, and then probably will be another one. They probably will reboot the whole thing in some shape, form, or way if they do get more money. That's kind of where I see it. And I see it like, you know, it's something. Yeah, I also really enjoyed the final girl's friend.
Okay.
The girl who got killed in the car. Don't know her name.
I did, and I told you that, Ian, too. I think it's Brooke, right? She has two friends. One of them
I think it's Brooke.
It's Brooke and Ellie. Yeah, so Brooke. I really liked her a lot. I thought she was fun, too. And I liked their relationship together a lot. It wasn't there was a lot there with we weren't shown too much, but we still like got the reality and the depth of their relationship and their friendship, right? And I thought the actress was pretty damn good, honestly.
Yeah, she was really good.
Oh, there's a nice thing I have to say that I don't think, especially for it being like Indiegogo and stuff, I thought all the actors were pretty legit.
I thought they were solid. All of
Yeah.
I never like, so I am going to put it down to, I'm going to put it on Damien, right? Because I never like to talk about an actor's performance. I feel like everybody's out working real hard, and so it's better to just pin it on the filmmaker. I wasn't a big fan of the kid. He kind of annoyed the shit out of me throughout the entire thing, and we could have left him dead a lot earlier in the movie. And then, it'd have been easier for her to get away or save the day, for her, save herself. Save her friend.
I was actually surprised they killed the kid.
Did they kill the kid? They didn't kill the kid.
They didn't kill the kid.
No, he's alive.
I thought they killed the kid.
No. You were tripping balls. You must have been.
They get away together.
I don't know what tripper you were on. There's a third cut, guys. There's a third cut of this movie, and we're all discovering we have seen different cuts of this movie.
Wait, the mom died at the table.
Dies. Yeah.
And I thought the kid died too. Well,
right
damn.
after that, yeah, he made it to the whole ending, man. He made it all the way to the end.
Well, maybe I saw the unedited version.
You saw the work print version, okay? Still have the watermark across the screen of it. No, he lived. I love the final girl. I thought this was just such a great way to have a final girl, Sienna, which is not a final girl name, by the way.
I kept saying, I think she looks like Alexis Rose from Schitt's Creek.
She does.
Right? Because I was like, who does she look like? And I kept like wondering. And then I looked on IMDb to be like, maybe I recognize her from something else. And then I was like, oh, she looks like Alexis Rose. That's why.
It took me a second, but I got around to it.
I will say, too, that I think that they did a very good job on her story arc in a way, because I feel like what happens a lot of times with final girls in horror movies is that I don't necessarily know that they're the final girl. Yeah, yes. Sure, they're the final girl that lived, but I only saw 10 minutes of them spread throughout the movie. Right. Mm-hmm. And here it was like the main character was actually the final girl, and there was a whole story around her, which I did enjoy that part.
Well, Ian, that's what you were talking about. That's another nice thing you said about the movie, actually. We got to spend a lot of time with these characters, and we got their personalities, all of them, almost all of them, right? Like even her best friends, I got a sense of their personalities too, just with the little moments that we had. Like the other one, Allie, when she goes to the door, like her lines give us enough of her personality to like enjoy her and be like horrified that she died the way she did.
I didn't enjoy any of the character building moments. I just appreciated that we spent time with the characters. Telling you, I have nothing nice to say.
It's okay, okay.
But I appreciate giving us the time with the characters to like.
This is gonna be a bitch to edit.
I honestly just enjoyed getting to know the characters a little bit more. Sure, the mom was not the best actress ever, but she was so funny. She was so bad, she was funny to me. Like it was like that mom that just like couldn't deal with her fucking children. And I thought Sienna was great. I think that they built in a good way. And I thought that there was like you said, like I really enjoyed, who was her name?
Brooke.
Yeah. I really enjoyed Brooke. I thought that she did a very good job. They did a very good job of showing the arc and that the friend, like I think that they did a good job in that aspect.
Did you like Brooke more than Sienna?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's fun.
I had to think about it. I did. I liked her acting. I liked her acting better. I thought she committed a little bit more to the character. I thought that she did a great job. But then there was a part of me that was like, is that just who she is? You know?
It could be. It seemed like they were all really good at the natural sort of acting, that it could just be them, right?
Yeah.
But they I don't know, it didn't feel like, especially with Brooke, I thought it didn't feel like she was reading lines. It felt like she was joking with the, her cast members, and just, throwing little jokes out there and getting them on camera,
There was one thing that I missed from the first movie compared to this movie, and that was, I feel like the first movie included a lot more of creepy art. the second one, like there was the creepy part in the Halloween store where, I wanted more of those moments because that to me is scary as fuck. If I were to be in a Halloween store and there's just this random ass clown just standing in the corner, putting on glasses and stuff, like those were the moments that I missed because I feel like there was only one or two really, but in the first movie, I felt like there was a lot more because he was at the diner with the girls and like, all of that. So I feel like that was a missing factor that I enjoyed.
I know, I agree with that. I think the first movie was just like shorter in general, so that it felt like even with I'd like to like clock the creepy moments from that one to this one because that one at least the running time was shorter, so it felt like that was in there more, right? With this one, we were setting up a lot in this one, especially with the cut that we've watched. It was it felt a little bit bloated, and I thought all of the kills were we could have taken some more time to have a little bit of those creepy setup moments. I did think like the Halloween store part was wild to me. Like, when she's standing there and she's clearly like about to have an anxiety attack and the guy goes off in the back and, Art starts walking up to her and stands next to her. Like, that's some shit, man. Yeah. That's some, I don't know. And we could have gotten a lot more of that. Another one that really stuck with me is when Allie does come downstairs, sees the back door kind of broken, goes into the kitchen and sees him there. And we get this long fucking shot of him just kind of like going through things, drinking water and, before he like bolts at her. And I always find that terrifying when your killer starts running at you, right? Because it's like true crime. It's real. It's like, this guy's in my house right now. But then you break it up with the body horror of it all. And it does, I agree with you, Ian. I think it just takes me out of it, right? Like, I do think Allie's death scene, I would have left that one in there out of all of them. I think that was so gruesome that you need that for your poster, Yes. You need all the taglines for that one. But everything else, it's like,
that's the one I hated the most.
It's okay. That's fine. I thought that one was like so gruesome that it should be kept. I don't know. It
becomes cartoony for me.
The what?
It becomes like a cartoon for me where it's like,
really?
Look, she's not dead yet. She's a talking skeleton. And like her mom sees her and it's like, come on, she's fucking dead. Give me a break.
She was not dead. She said, Mommy.
She had like 4 different like, oh, she's dead now. Nope, not yet. They're just like, those, it was like, I don't know.
I enjoyed the jump scares too. No, I was just saying, I really enjoyed the jump scares. I feel like there was many times in the theater where I was like, oh my God, like it happened quite a bit. And I was like, that's kind of hard to do now because everybody can expect a jump scare.
Wait, what were some of the jump scares?
I don't know. I jumped and I was scared.
One of them, Allie is in the costume shop and she's leaving and she's on the phone, right? And she bumps into Art the Clown, and that's a jump scare right there. But I think, and that's the brilliant way that it's like brought into this movie, is that all of the jump scares are like moments that are happening. They're not just like, I don't know. They're not like weird cuts that just like don't belong. They're like kids running by you or you bumping into something, or like it's very like
it's more natural.
It's your startle that you get in real life anyway. I really enjoyed Allie's whole scene. I enjoyed Allie's mom coming up. I thought that was just like awful. And like the way the camera's just on her mom and while her mom's screaming, cutting back and forth. That was so stupid that it worked for me.
Yes.
All right, well, fair enough, because I was going to say it was fucking stupid.
It was fucking stupid. It was like, and I think they, like, that is a shot that looks like it knows it's stupid, but still leans into it anyway, right? I really liked, Sienna's relationship with her mom, not so much her brother, but with her mom, the whole scene where she's on Molly was great. I loved them in the little club and having fun, and then she calls her mom and says, I love you, and then we know the mom's gonna die. That was another really good one, is when her mom like wiped away the shaving cream and he's like right there in the fucking window.
I don't understand. I like truly cannot wrap my brain around like the scene with fucking Allie. I was just like, ugh. Like for me, I'm like, this is bad. There's nothing enjoyable. What's to enjoy? What's the like? Who even is like, this will be a really great scene to make.
Okay,
like, why?
wait a minute.
Yes.
Do you like, you were giving him shit about not liking Marvel movies. Do you like Marvel movies?
I do, yes.
We see
so
that
do you like when there's a fucking 15-minute action scene that keeps going on for 90 years?
See, but even with those, I will be like, oh, this could be cut. Like I will be like, this can be cut. We can like trim this down. I feel like that's a complaint I have in general for most things, right? Zach is like, we can trim this down, is how I feel about like most shit. So like, but I'm a big comic book person. Like as a kid, that was all I did was read comic books. So like my brain can be like, okay, well, this is like a comic book. And like it's fucking stupid, but it's like, all right, we'll get to like the like jokey whatever shit after this. And like, or it's like there's an emotional beat where it's like, oh, I really like that character, so at least I don't want them to die here. But like for this, it's like,
yeah. No, I can see that. I think all of the body horror stuff does go on too long, even with something like Hostel, right? We don't even see it for that long in a movie like Hostel. We see some drilling into the head and cutting away. So now that you've said though, Joseph, that this was an extended cut, that makes a lot more sense, because it really does feel like they shoved all of this in to get the MPAA is telling you to cut this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
They cut it and then they have their movie anyway. So I would be curious to see the other one.
Do you boys know is there like something different with rating if you're just doing a small release? Like, can you get by shit like that, or?
I have no idea.
You know what? That might actually be a thing, because I do know that with smaller movies, like at my indie theater and everything, there's a whole bar, like everything's like shown, and it wouldn't get an R rating. It would get something else.
Because I'm wondering if what you said, since it was like supposed to be, because they didn't expect it to do this well, right? So like, it would make sense if like, oh, maybe that'll like, we don't think a lot of people will come. Maybe we'll make it the unedited cut. So like maybe some more people will come, but then it ended up working really to their favor. And maybe it was just that was like a bonus to seeing it in, because it was only in a few theaters, right?
Well, yeah, so and like that, you're making a really good point right there, is that this was a movie that was not expected to do phenomenally anyway, right? So you have to like cater to your audience, and if your audience is the torture porn crowd, that's what you're catering to, right? You're not catering to your Scream fan, It's just those don't equate. You have to find what's going to make you your money. The next one I even think has a better chance of like going straight to theaters and like staying there for like intentionally staying there, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah,
so they can't put this in theaters again. They're not going to be able to do it. Okay, the moms are against this one. Okay, all 6 of those moms are signing the petition to get this one taken out of the theaters. Okay, they do not like this.
I read about that.
I love that it was 6 out of 100 signatures that they were looking for, or 11 out of 100 signatures. I don't know. They're fired up. One thing that really bothered me was the entire ending. I really am a hard sell on a stacked ending where you kind of have your final battle, but then your final battle comes after your final battle, and you have another final battle right after that. And this one did that a lot, and the last one did that a lot as well. And
a hat on a hat on a hat.
It works for me if it's different. So we were talking while we were watching is that Rob Zombie's Halloween in 2007 has a stacked ending like that. But it works for me because we're in different sets. We're doing different things. She's in the wall, then she's in the attic, then she's like, running in the basement. And like, you have all of these different things. This one was the exact same thing. She saves her brother, fights him. They get away long enough to settle in a different room, and then he comes back, and it's the same sort of like over and over again. It doesn't work for me. They could have cut out 3 of those.
What didn't work for me was the last scene after the credits.
Okay, okay, Ian, I didn't even look at his face, but I could feel his eyes on me.
I thought it was a joke.
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? Was this you're birthing a head? Is this like fake?
That's the ridiculousness of it. I still am not sure if I like it or not. I know you hate it, Ian. I could feel like your eyes burning a hole into my head, and it just is, and it's clearly setting up something. But I'm like, what are we setting? Is he going to grow his body out of the head that just came out, or I'm very confused on the movie. Very, very confused on
See, that is going back to like, we're not landing on one or the other. Like, was there a rape scene in the first one? Is that why she would be like pregnant with his head?
I don't think there was there?
I don't think so. Or is it that he could, like, if somebody survives, then he gets birth through them?
But she was in love with him, so she's birthing her lover, and are they going to be together after he like grows a body, or she's got to find him a body, or is he just she's going to roll him around? She's going to tie a string to him. is like where are we going?
I was expecting her to like. I was like, is she gonna like? Because the nurse just stands there screaming for a very long time, and I was like, is she gonna like throw the head at the nurse and he's gonna eat her? Like that's kind of what I thought was gonna happen. And that way he regenerates because that's what he was doing in the beginning, right? Like eating the pieces to regenerate. So I really was like, oh, this is gonna be stupid. She's gonna throw.
Was she eating him or was she like kissing him? What was she doing? Because she had his head and she was like.
I think it was that she was like rocking him like a baby.
Yeah.
Oh.
Because I actually thought I was like, did she give birth to a baby and she's eating it? But then once we saw the head and it was like intact, I was like, oh, I guess she just was rocking him. Or like
I guess that moment. So she attacks. We see her first when she's on that chat show, right? And then she attacks the other woman off camera, right? I wish we kind of would have seen that or something. I think that would have been pretty cool to see, especially if you're going into the body horror of it all. Like, show her ripping somebody's face off. But so when he hits the TV, I'm guessing that's the moment she snapped. And so, like, kind of like you're talking about with TVs and stuff like that, that could be his, like, link to somebody, you know? He smashes her interview on TV, gets to her, but, like, I don't know. We didn't explore any of that, so I don't actually know. You know?
Yeah.
But then we get her ass at the end of this, and she's just fully insane. And I want to know how she went insane.
Because also they do say, like, then that nurse and the WWE wrestler that have their conversation at the end.
Yeah.
They even say that she's very, like, chill and, like, agreeable. So, like, that I was like, I was waiting for that nurse to be bad. I was like, oh, is she bad? And she's just lying for the woman because we know she ripped off the lady's face. But then she wasn't. But then, like, she did go crazy. So it was like,
yeah. I don't know. And the various ways, like, art comes back. So I guess this is just one of those. But then, like, I assumed there was some sort of, like, vortex scene at the beginning where.
Has there been a horror franchise where I won't even say franchise. Well, I guess I should say franchise, where they don't just keep bringing people back. It just keeps happening. I'm like, I know that everybody loves a good, like, Friday the 13th or like Halloween, but like, how many times do we have to see these people keep coming back? Like, if you kill a character in my head, they shouldn't come back. So either fake kill them, they're not dead, but like, I don't want to see people die and then reincarnate and then come back in a different way because it just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you have your horror fans.
That's supernatural.
Franchise horror fans, right? Your franchise horror fans are not going to complain about something like that. But like Ian, that's one of the reasons you really like the Scream franchise. It's like it's not the same killer. You know, you just have your crazy people out there who have their motivations for whatever. This is definitely one of those where art is going to die at the end of every single movie, probably. Right? We're very much setting that up, and we're already quickly running the risk of wearing him out. You know. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the next one. I don't know. I liked this movie. I thought it did really scare me. I wonder if it was more the time of night that I saw it and then going out to my car by myself and like just being freaked out already of, you know, the whole true crime element of it and just somebody standing off in the distance, you know, smiling at you.
Well, and you know me, I can get scared in the dark. Like if I'm in the dark, I could be scared. It could be fucking nothing. And I could be like, oh, wait, maybe I am scared.
I did think you were going to get scared of it, though. I thought you were going to be a little scared.
But
he also watched it on a laptop screen.
Yeah, that's fair. I should go make you sit in the basement, Ian. You should go sit down there for like 10 minutes.
Once the tension is gone. There's no tension for me. I'm not scared because I'm just like, oh, he's just ripping people apart. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm just like waiting for that to happen. And then it does. And I'm annoyed. And then I'm waiting for it to happen again. So I like, that's the only reason that shit doesn't scare me. But again, I could see myself like later on tonight, if I'm outside smoking weed and it's fucking dark, I could be like, is that clown gonna rip my skull open in that bush? Like,
we're gonna get a message from you later on tonight saying, you know what, I've changed my answer. I think I am a little.
No, I will not change my answer. But like, because even like the fucking Fear Street movies, those didn't scare me at all. But like, if I'm out late at night, I'm like, that guy with the axe that ran really fast, he could be in those bushes running towards me.
So it's just get through those.
Oh, we love them.
Oh yes, absolutely. What character scares you in horror then? Both of you. Like one that really scares you. Has always scared you from childhood or from adulthood, whatever.
None.
Oh.
As a kid, I was afraid of everything though. Like as a kid, they all scared me. And then as an adult, because I was saying this the other day, like I like Halloween and Scream, but like Ghostface and Michael Myers don't really like scare me.
Yeah.
But for me, that's like the thrill. It's like ooh, is this like you like
Yeah.
Michael Myers and Ghostface, like mostly they kill everyone they encounter, but some people do get away. So it's like the tension of like, oh fuck, is this person gonna make it or not is like what's like thrilling to me. So it's like, I mean, that's still, I guess one could say that's being scared, right? But for me, it's not like they don't scare me. It's like the like tension is building. And like both those movies, even Halloween, when I don't like them, I think they build the tension fairly well. But I think like I think Hereditary was, I don't know that scared me.
That didn't scare you? That scared me.
I guess a little bit. I think
you have to have your moments, right? Like, your movie needs to have your moment to tell you why they would be scared of you, right? Like The Conjuring 2, while it's not a scary movie, there's the moment with the nun, you know, and she like appears behind that's the first time we ever see the nun appears behind the painting, and like terrifying, right? I thought of that for weeks afterwards, right?
Can I tell you, my friend that I fucking saw that with, because I do think that's a good scene, but like I always laugh because like I don't know why we had this stupid joke where like we would be like, oh, you have your father's eyes, because it's a fucking line in Harry Potter. And my friend turned to me and was like, she has her mother's eyes. And I laughed and I was like, God damn it, that was a good scene, but I like made me laugh. So that's what I think of with that scene, but I do think it's a good scene.
Yeah.
I think what scared me as a child was never necessarily anything in the horror realm. It was Forensic Files when that man's voice would come on. The man's voice scared me more than anything. It was like, and Donna, when she was, it was like that deep, haunting voice. And I'm like, that is scarier than anything else.
Very specific too, Joseph. That's very specific.
It is.
I don't think a lot of people share that with you, so you're unique.
Yes. Good.
There you go.
I mean, I will defend you. I feel like as a kid, I was literally, there was like the dumbest shit would scare me. Like the Dimension Films logo, when that came up, I'd be like, because like I knew it was going to be either Nightmare on Elm Street or like something scary. So I would just relate it to scary things. So like even when because Dimension didn't only put out horror, but if I saw it, I would assume, oh, time to be scared.
Kind of wrapping this one up. I want to ask both of y'all where you would go in a third one with this franchise. You have to come up with something. Ian, you are on the writing team for a third one, okay? You want to make it the best one you can, okay? You as well, Joseph. What do you guys do? What kind of story do you make for the third one?
I think it would be a backstory, but the backstory would be the television aspect. I think that he should go back in that little art, the serial, whatever it was. And if there was a massacre or a murder or he killed people in that, and that's what spawned everything. That's what I would want.
There you go. There you go.
I think that's a good answer.
Yeah, I mean, the shooting up all the people was terrifying. I thought it's like that's real world horror, you know?
Yeah.
So that could be tied into it. Ian, what do you think?
Well, I like Joseph's answer, but now I'm trying to think of like, I think I would make it an hour and a half, a tight hour.
That's where Ian starts. First thing on the page, a note.
Has to be an hour and a half.
Right there.
And is that the unedited version? That's the unedited version, right? So then the edited version will be like an hour 15.
Yeah. Great. And I would make it rather than gore, I would make it more like chase. Like it's like maybe he stabs you, but you're able to like, instead of crawling covered in blood with your arm missing and bleach all over you, it's like, oh, he has stabbed her once, but she's getting away. No one really fights back. I would do a lot of fighting back. I would also make the ending more the same issue you had with it, Zach, where it's like, no, she just beats him to death and like smushes his face. Like it's not like, oh, we stab him and we run away. I really do hate that. Like, you know, I mean,
me too.
A lot of horror movies do that. It's not just this movie. I'm always like, no, just like beat them to death, knock their head off, like put them in a trash compactor. Yeah, that's like, for me, I need those kind of endings. And I would also lean into the weird visuals. Like I think I might have enjoyed it if we had a lot of like weird visuals where you're not quite sure what's real and what's like,
what weird visuals are you sort of talking about then? Like, what about the ending? So with Vicky holding that head, was that not a weird visual for you? Or are you talking about something
but that was like
psychedelic?
Too much. Okay. Like more like the dream with the where it was like they're filming the kids show or whatever.
The clown cafe.
Yeah. And like, not that I liked it, but like when she's like in hell and she's in that was too much. But like shit like that, I liked that like weird shit where it's like, where it's like supernatural, but it's also like you don't know what the fuck.
Yeah.
Like, how is she going to get out of this? Because if this is just a dream, like anything can happen. I would probably lean into a little bit more of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I like that. I don't know.
What would you do, Zachary?
I think we've got an interesting idea here with like two final girls, right? We have Vicky, the final girl who just went batshit insane, doesn't have a face anymore, looks like Tales from the Crypt, versus the final girl who did make it out and is not insane yet, or at least we haven't seen her insane. I think Vicky versus Sienna it would be a really good movie, and then Art the clown like somewhere in there doing something. I don't know what Art would be doing.
Vicky would be Art's Corey.
Yeah, maybe like the back half of Vicky's head is like Art, and then the front half is Vicky or something. I don't know. They got to get real weird with it. After this movie, they got to get real weird with it. Otherwise, you can't backtrack. It's like the Halloween Kills thing. If you're gonna go with it, you go with it. If he's gonna transcend, you're gonna transcend him. What upcoming stuff do you have? What do you do? Where you been? Where you going?
My big spiel. I produce 3 drag queen podcasts, and that is with Jinx Monsoon, Latrice, and Manila. I host a little YouTube show called Exposed, where I interview drag queens, and I just got done shooting the first episode of my new late night talk show, which will be called Sissy That Talk with drag queens.
All busy,
I'm very
all
drag oriented.
Maybe next year you can do some couple Halloween specials with your Sissy That Talk and make them I don't know, spooky origin.
Yeah, spooky
whatever. A nice little pun in there. We thank you so much, Joseph Shepard, for coming on to this episode of My Bloody Judy to talk Terrifier 2. I want to know how many of y'all have actually gone out to see Terrifier 2, or did you pirate it? I don't know. Just let me know. And what'd you think of it? And which cut did you see? How long was your movie, guys?
Yes,
was it 2.5 hours?
Or was it 4.5?
Or was it an hour and a half?
I don't know. There's many different cuts out there. Okay, it's like Clue for the torture porn genre. Okay, well, we thank all of you guys for listening. Thank you to Joseph for coming on, and thank you, Ian, for always co-hosting with me. And we'll see you next time.